I love you.
Uno,
One,
dos,
three,
tres,
four.
cuatro, cinco. Welcome back to the couch, potatoes. I am the lovely green traveler from Gorsh.
Yes, it's very true. And I am the faceless Leone who doesn't have a face. And
As implied.
And, you know, a lot of time my adopted mother would say, "You have a face for radio." And I would be like,
Ouch.
"But Mom, I don't have a face."
Listen here!
This is Green and Faceless on the Couch, a podcast about movies and TV. Welcome back to the
Hooray!
Studio Ghibli playlist. Hooray!
We made it! Looks like we made it! Alrighty. Yeah, we're here with Only Yesterday.
Yesterday.
What's his name? Isao Takahata.
That's right.
But this is an idea from Hayao Miyazaki, as in it's a manga that Hayao Miyazaki read and really enjoyed and wanted to make, but couldn't figure out how to do it.
Sure.
And so I say he couldn't figure out how to do it. I don't know if that's really the truth, but he basically passed the idea along to Isao Takahata,
Gotcha.
who came up with a beautiful idea, which is to tell the manga, but cut it up into tiny little episodes, as the manga is, which is it's episodic manga, and divide those episodes with segments of an older character,
So that character's
looking back on her life.
brand new. The older character's brand new.
I guess. I've never read the manga, but I am
that
very interested. This is
very interesting adaptation idea.
right. It really made this movie shine. Like,
I loved it.
Was
Yeah.
enthralled.
Yeah,
I was
This
enthralled
is
by it.
the first time. This is the first time I ever watched this, and it is also the first in our playlist so far that I haven't watched before we've done the playlist.
Yeah, yeah, definitely not for me. I've missed so many of them already, but I had not watched this one before either.
I think the reason why I had never watched it before is because it did not come out until the year I graduated college. So the English version, that is. Obviously, the Japanese version came out after Kiki's, and it is 1982.
It took a long time adapting.
Wait a minute, 1991. That's right.
And this wasn't even a Disney adaptation. It was G-Kids.
Oh yeah. Disney didn't want to touch this one for some reason. Obviously, the material.
I don't understand why.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they didn't think it was had enough draw for young adults or children, which is really their, at least at the time, that was what they were focused on. Now they have Marvel and Star Wars, so.
Right.
So yeah,
it's still for children and young adults.
Yeah, that's true.
But like, I don't know. Like, I will say this is for a niche audience, I guess.
Yeah, I would say it's for the Studio Ghibli movies is the most adult one. When I say that, that's like a maturity, I think. For it. Like, this is for an older audience, and not necessarily because it, there's nothing in it that makes it any more than PG. That's for sure.
Right.
It's a very wholesome story and show, and man, somebody's just really revving out. Outside.
I know. I just heard that. I was like, "What was that?"
Really, jeez.
But like, I really love this story. But it is, it's kind of like a nostalgic romance. It's not a romance, but it's like a romance of nostalgia.
But it is.
It's a.
Oh, you know what? I like the way you said that though. A romance of nostalgia. Yes, I like that.
Yeah, because there is a romance angle that happens, but it is so much not about that at all until like the end, until it gets to the point where she realizes maybe I want to go this route.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. At the same time, it is though, and I think though what's interesting with the background, you know, of the how the manga existed without this adult character, that to me the movie was a lot about that older woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
looking back,
yeah, I'm honestly was really surprised. I didn't look up anything about the production.
It's very beautiful. The story is of Taeko Okajima. Taeko Okajima. You know, the older version that we're talking about, she's age 27, and she's looking back when she was 10 years old, when she was in 5th grade. Mm-hmm. Older Taeko and the Disney the G Kids version, not Disney, is Daisy Ridley, who is a Disney actor now. She signed up for life.
She had already done Force Awakens and filmed The Last Jedi, at least. Because it came out the year before. And, you know, with voice acting, you just have to be in a studio and read it. And something about that, too.
Well, I am.
I feel like because it was a voice acting gig, there was a little bit of a miscommunication on what was necessary for Daisy Ridley to do, because she does an American accent, and you know, as we know, she's not American, but Dev Patel uses his accent, like he doesn't, you know, change it to an American accent, and like I just don't understand why that mattered, it being a Japanese film. I honestly, like, I felt the same, where I was just like, okay, that's a little weird, but I didn't really care. Like, it doesn't hurt the movie at all. I did, because I could hear her accent under it.
Right.
And
that's fair.
It was just kind of like an extra layer onto that character that was just completely unnecessary, because you're like, for me, it gave it some dissonance because it's now an American sounding character, but they're in a Japanese world, and the actor is British, and I can tell.
I couldn't tell. I was not paying attention at all to that. Like, I mean, it grazed me, because it's like, you know, there was something like off, but it was more about delivery for me. There were certain lines that were meant to have some, like, clearly meant to have a great emotional weight, like just one line after a memory that is supposed to be delivered in a way that feels very powerful, but like the way it's kind of delivered is kind of just like offhandedly, and it felt very weird being edited into like a, you know, it's like she remembers her youth, they have this moment, and then it cuts to like a beautiful blue sky, and that's when the line's supposed to be delivered, and it's supposed to be poignant. It's supposed to point to that moment and be like, you know, it's to wrap your head around how beautiful this moment is as a child, as an adult, looking back. But the way it's delivered by Daisy, no offense, is just so, I don't know, offhanded, that like that kind of stuff bothered me, where I was just like, ugh.
Yeah. And I don't know what experience with voice acting she has. So, you know, it is a completely different field.
Right.
And so I acknowledge her effort, and to be fair, her accent got a lot better as the film went on. But there's this moment at the very, very beginning where I believe what they're doing is making fun of a particular Japanese accent that's made fun of often in anime. I don't remember what island it is, but they have a very quick accent. When we dub it, sometimes we supplant who we consider Hicks, into that.
Yeah.
So she even does another American accent.
Yes, Southern.
Yes, a Southern accent. And like that part was so strange to me because like the movie had just started, just trying to figure out who the character is. She's on the phone, and it seems to me like in that moment, it seems like the actor doesn't know what they're doing. Yeah. And then you realize that it's an accent joke, and you don't get it because it's lost in translation.
My thought process is like, I understand it's set in Tokyo, but it's also for an American audience. So it's like you want the American audience to understand the joke. That's why it's been,
I get
subtitled or dubbed in English.
Right.
So it's like you're gonna make an accent joke that the American audience is gonna understand, as opposed to a Japanese joke that most American audiences would be like.
But they could have also made it an English accent joke,
right?
Like it. I think Daisy was unaware that Dev was not going to be an American. Maybe they did Daisy's recordings first, because a lot of time voice acting people don't even get together. So, especially with something like this, where they're not even like animating it to that person's voice.
That's what I was gonna say. Is Isao Takahata, when he directed it, the original Japanese version, he had a lot of the actors acted out together.
Yes, when you're making something from scratch, it's a lot different. But when you're dubbing, they usually
I don't know. I doubt that whoever directed it had them do that. Yeah,
right. From my knowledge, from listening to people from Crit Roll and stuff like that, they typically are by themselves with the director, or they're working remotely because they have the reputation.
I was just kind of hoping that somebody, and speaking of Crit Roll, Laura Bailey is one of the voices. She played Nanako Okajima, one of the sisters, I believe.
Okay, cool. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I didn't know until I saw it right here. I find it interesting because also the animation was done differently, where they had already recorded the lines before the animation was done. So the animators were able to basically just copy, lip motions so it looked very natural if you were watching it. I did not watch it in Japanese. I watched the dubbed version, obviously. Mm-hmm. But apparently if you were watching the original Japanese, the lip syncing with the dialogue is almost perfect because the animators had the dialogue already there, as opposed to how it's normally done, as we've mentioned before on other episodes, which is usually you have the animation done first and then the actors are trying to make it fit,
especially when it's like I said earlier, transposed from one country to another.
Exactly.
Anyhow, I have the feeling that she was asked to do an American accent, which is different than what I said earlier, I know, but maybe she was asked to do it, and they wanted her in this show, and then Dev had the Green Knight, and they're like, oh, his voice is nice, let's have him in it, and they asked him to do an American accent, and he's like, I'm not going to do that.
He did the Green Knight like literally 2-3 years ago. When was this movie dubbed?
I thought the Green Knight was 2016 you're right, Green Knight was 2001. Why does that seem like that was forever ago?
COVID.
Yeah.
COVID stretched time out really
weirdly. Anyhow, he was still really big from like Slumdog Millionaire, which was in 2008, and a bunch of other things that he was in that I didn't really see.
I've loved Dev Patel for a while, but it's I don't know. I didn't have an issue with it at all. I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think it really affected the movie in any way to me.
Okay, but now I am done vamping on my critiques, because I did actually really enjoy this movie. I just also feel like there's not a ton of plot to talk about. So let's
it's very beautiful in my opinion, because there's a novel I read called Norwegian Wood by Hiroki Murakami.
Yeah.
I might have gotten the name wrong. I think it's Hiroki Murakami, but I that could be wrong. Don't take my word for it. But it's very beautiful. I mean, I read it because it's one of my favorite Beatles songs.
Yeah, it's
Norwegian
a good
Wood
song.
And so I was just like, oh, this sounds interesting. I picked it up, and it was like a romance. Again, it's like a romance. It's a nostalgic romance, but it's a man, in his older life, like in a relationship or something. It's been a while since I read the book, but he's like looking back on two very important relationships in his life. One in his older days, one in his youth, and how they have affected his overall life. And this movie felt so, and I love that book. It's one of my favorite books. I was really just moved by it, and this movie reflects that like really freaking well. Like it's just you have, as we mentioned, you have Taeko in her late 20s, looking back on her fifth grade self. And, like, the actions and stuff that she did as a fifth grader. And, like, it's just, like, it's really weird how, you're connecting the dots to how, like, all this stuff that happened and how it's affected her. Right. But how she is so much, like, still just, like, a weirdly stronger and, like, different person.
She cuts against the grain a little bit. Definitely even more as a kid. Well, I guess as an adult, too. So what the adult Taeko is doing is going on a vacation, and her vacation is working on this flower farm, and they grow they grow these flowers. Safflower. Safflower, thank you, for which is made for making rouge traditionally. Used for making, I don't know what I said. Anyhow, she likes to do that because she likes the not just because she likes the cultural aspect of it, or because she has family out there that do it. In fact, she doesn't. She just seems to like to be out there working, contributing to the land. At heart, I feel like the whole time what they're trying to get at is that she is a farmer. At least in this
she cultivates.
She cultivates. I like that. Yeah, but out there,
I mean, she works a silly business job, like almost
pays
like
the bills.
Like kind of.
She doesn't care about it.
She doesn't have no heart in it, but she's really good at it. You know, everybody loves her there.
Yeah,
she's got a lot of joy and energy. But the one thing that everybody bothers her about is that she's not married.
Right.
Because she's 27 and she should be married by now. Right. And she just
does not. This is also based in the 80s.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But, like, it all just kind of slips off of her. She doesn't seem to be bothered at all by it. She doesn't seem to be lonely.
No.
You know, she has such a different view of life than all these other people do.
I also feel a little bit of sadness from Taeko. And that might just be because she's never really felt like she's gotten to live her life exactly the way that she wanted to. And she's a very free spirit. Yeah. So
she's always been controlled, as you see through her childhood flashbacks. Mm-hmm. You know, her father was very, like, kind of not very controlling, but very dismissive. And he could be controlling at times. He could very be controlling at times, but
no more than I feel like is normal culturally. They have very strict.
And her mom is very same way too. Or you know, Taeko would do something she was very proud of, and her mom would just be instantly just like, that's great, but you're fucking up here.
Right.
And this is where we should be focusing on, is here where you're fucking up.
Yeah. Yeah. They focus on the negative things instead of how very talented and interesting that their child was. So the the older Taeko, by the way, in the Japanese version is Miki Imai, and the younger is Yoko Hana. And in the English, the younger is Allison Fernandez. And
and then Dev Patel, who we mentioned but did not say his character, he is the future love interest. Not future. He's the present day, the late 20s Taiko's love interest.
Yeah, there is
she goes out to pick safflower and he's out there
for
farming.
10-year-old Taeko. There is a crush. I don't remember. I'm sure that we'll remember who that is later. But
Toshio is Dev Patel's character.
Yes.
Sorry.
And that's played by Toshiro Yanagiba in the Japanese.
Yeah.
But also Toshio meets her at the this being Taeko at the airport to drive her to the farm, which his cousin owns and that he helps work or co-owns. Can't remember.
I can't remember.
He's a very big part of it. He's very passionate about farming. Yeah. Very interesting
he is.
Man, too. There's a lot of philosophy behind it.
But fake philosophy.
Yes.
He always pushes forth his grand quotes and philosophizes, and he's very stoic about it. And then he breaks down. He's like, "I heard that from my brother."
Yeah,
or something.
yeah,
You're just like,
but I believe it. Yeah.
I believe it. It's really good. And then she's just like, she is completely like enthralled by him, Taeko. That is.
Yeah.
She watches him be so philosophical and everything. She's like, wow. And then he breaks down, and she's like, oh my god, this goofball. It's so cute.
And it is.
And she eventually starts to fall for him, even though she has been a very lone wolf kind of lady for a long time.
Yeah, I'm not even sure that she really notices that she feels that way. If he notices, but it is eventually, that storyline eventually culminates in his family members, the farm relatives. I don't remember whose name is who, but I think it starts with Granny, who's it definitely was started by Granny, who is played by Shin Ito, and in the English version, Nika Futterman. And she is like, so why don't you just stay here and marry Toshio?
Just marry him already. He loves you. Just do it. And I think Naoko, who's Tara Strong, I think she's one of the other ones that starts goading her into it. She's like, you know what? That's actually a good idea. Why don't you just stay here and marry him?
And
Masako Watanabe in the Japanese version,
right? And his dad, who is played by Matthew Yang King, and Koji Goto, he's like, guys, come on, you are totally embarrassing this woman who is our guest.
It's so weird that they're doing this right in front of her.
Yeah.
I understand that they're pitching it, but it just feels so wrong.
Right.
And she's like, "Oh my god, guys, back off!"
About it. Yeah. Oh man, it's a lot.
Oh, but speaking of Matthew Yang King, he also voiced Taiko's father in the past in the 10-year-old Taeko storyline. And the mom I mentioned earlier, she's played by Gray Delisle. Here played, I guess, credited as Grey Griffin.
Must have been married at the time.
The Japanese versions are Masahiro Ito and Michi Terada, respectively.
So let's talk about let's each of us pick one flashback to talk about. How's that sound?
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Because that is the thing, is a lot of, as we've already mentioned, a lot of them are just small vignettes of childhood life.
Yeah.
And how they shaped this character, how they formed this beautiful, very happy, joyful woman later in it lived.
Yeah.
But with a lot of emotion still lying under the surface,
Yeah.
I would say, if I'm to pick one to talk about, trying to think of all of them, the one that sticks out the most would be when she is struggling very hard with fractions.
Yeah, that was
that was a very sad flashback. Not all the flashbacks are happy. A lot of them are very emotional or sad. Some of them are very joyful and good times, as a kid. But the fraction one, she's just struggling very hard with math. like she doesn't understand dividing by fractions, and she's trying to make it a logical thing in her head,
right,
as opposed to a numerical thing on paper. Mm-hmm. You know, she's trying to figure out, why would you divide an apple like this? This makes no sense. Mm-hmm. And her sister's like, just do the fucking math.
Like, don't just worry about why. Yeah. And it's like, it's very interesting that she asks why, and, curious children will. But like the way that she was cutting it out still made sense. She could come across the answer that way. And then
she just didn't know how to put it on
paper.
She
just doesn't know, how to do the logic that mathematicians have come up with throughout the years. It is a method. It's a brain trick. It is not how it actually works. The way it actually works is the way she did it. You take a knife and you cut it up.
You just cut it up.
Yeah.
No, I really loved it, but like it's very different because she is very artful, creative, but everybody else is just like, no, you cannot be that. You have to be logical about this.
Yeah.
And are illogical in the sense that you have to be able to put it down on paper.
Right.
And so they're her sister, and I don't remember which sister, but her sister and her mom are like talking. It's just like, she has to be stupid. Like there's got to be some kind of.
They say that.
They do say something else, but like it's just like They say there's got to be something wrong, basically.
The mom eventually is like, Taeko isn't a regular child. She needs your help.
Yeah. She blurts it out as Taeko is like walking down the stairs. Oh, it's so sad. And Taeko's just like left standing there like, how do I deal with this? Oh, I really loved it though, because you cut from that flashback to the future where she's telling it to one of the relatives on the farm, a younger girl. And Taeko's just laughing about it. She's having she's like, oh my God, I really sucked at this. It was such a stupid time in my life.
Uses it as her philosophy on people too. And Toshio does a similar thing to her, right? But I forget what his question was. No, it was the young boy. That was the first flashback. They do mirror this in this first flashback. Still don't remember what he asks. Taeko asks Toshio, was dividing by fractions easy for you? And he said, yeah, I think I understood it. And she said, okay, and you got your life all figured out. So that makes sense. Yeah. So she thinks if people knew how to divide by fractions, then that means that their life's going to be put together the way that they want.
They got it.
Yeah.
They got it in the bag. They understand. I just enjoy that.
I did really like that.
I love it's really weird. I love her ability to remember this weird stuff about her childhood.
Yeah.
I have burned so many of my brain cells away. Let me be honest. Like, I don't remember my childhood as well as this movie remembers its childhood.
One of her sisters, over the phone, it's that same phone conversation in the very beginning, she laughs because Taeko holds on to this stuff. And it is like a, gosh, you fucking idiot laugh. Like, it is not a nice laugh.
It starts to become almost evil.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a horror for just a second.
You could easily cut this movie up to look like a horror film.
Yeah, especially
like a trailer. You can make a horror trailer for this.
Especially at the very end, there is this there's no magical stuff that you kind of associate with Studio Ghibli. This is more of a straight film like Grave of the Fireflies was, but there is still this moment where all of the childhood friends and Taeko herself as a younger girl are on the train with her at the very end of the movie. And I don't know where I was going with that. But it does happen.
How it's a horror film.
Oh yeah, you could cut that to make it feel like a horror film too. Yeah, that's definitely part of what could make it eerie. But it's not. It's very sweet. And
it is, yeah.
I do very like that. So let's talk about the flashback where when she learns her one line for the school play. She opens up the play with this one line, and it's like, and I think she says, "Look over there, the crows are flying," or something like that. And
and she says, "Bye bye crows."
Bye bye crows. Yeah. And
that was the addition.
That was the addition, and the teacher was like, "Don't add anything." And she's like, "Well, fuck! I just get this one line. It better be the best goddamn line that I ever do." And she practices in the mirror, and she does have these beautiful transitions. The animation for that scene is very good.
It's adorable.
Yeah, and she just she almost looks really sad when they go away, and then she turns around, laughs, and goes back with her friends. She does wave first. At them. Yes.
Yeah, she looks so very sad, and she gives a sad wave.
You know, I focused in acting in my undergrad. And so for me, that really touched on a lot of stuff that, you know, I've worked on.
Yeah.
And that was really cool. And then also the going home and somebody coming and requesting her to be in a play. That was really nice too. And then all of her family's very excited about it because, you know, it's Taiko's finally showing something that she excels at.
Yeah.
And
she's creative.
Then Taiko's father shuts it down. There will be no performing, he says. It's
such an awful moment. There's one horrible scene with her father where there's like a flashback where he slaps her when she forgets to put her shoes on when she runs outside.
Yeah.
And as a viewer, you know, you see that happen, you're just like, oh my god, what a fucking dick. You know, you're immediately against this man. But you see in his face through the animation and everything that he immediately regretted it.
Yes.
And that, you know, there was I fucked up shit. That does not excuse him.
No.
Let me be very clear. That does not excuse him at all.
No.
He is still an awful man. But you see that he regretted it. And in the following flashbacks after that, you kind of get more of a humorous, he's just the quiet guy behind the newspaper. You know, he's surrounded by all these women. He's just you know, this is my life. And you kind of start feeling maybe there could be a comedic, maybe he can atone and he can turn it around. And then you get to that scene where he just immediately shuts down her drama and you're just
hurts.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just nope, no redemption for this man. I'm done.
So now every time Matthew Yang King is in something, you're just gonna hate it.
I'm just gonna for whatever reason I won't even remember the name. I don't even know what his face looks like. I don't know why,
but I hate this character. He's a good guy, but I hate him.
This guy's a fucking dick. Yeah, and I'll look it up and be like,
that's why. Yeah, shouldn't slap little kids.
I understand now.
So yeah,
I love this movie.
I think it's great. Yeah, you jumping into your closing statement. You go ahead.
Yeah, that's my closing statement. I love it. They separated the animation of it, so that they did the animation for the younger one at a different time that they did the animation for the older one, so that it felt different, so that there was different styles. Because the movie is not, one thing I love is it doesn't blatantly be year in the corner while you're watching it, so you know specifically who you're following. No, it just cuts back and forth between flashback and adult life really seamlessly. And, I understand that maybe if you're not paying attention, it can be confusing. But I was so enthralled. I love this kind of romance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so good. This is the stuff I love. As I said, if you've ever read Norwegian Wood, and you haven't watched this movie, watch this movie. If you watch this movie and haven't read Norwegian Wood, read Norwegian Wood. Hiroki Murakami, I'm pretty sure that's the author's name. He's amazing. It's a beautiful, beautiful book. I kind of love, I think I'm starting to love Japanese romances. And, I'm more I want to broaden my horizon there because I've only read 3 or 4, but I've loved all of them. In this movie, I'm very interested. I mean, I know the older character is not part of the manga, but I'm still interested in the manga because it's just a snippet of life.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very cute. And that's a whole genre for manga and anime is slice of life.
Right.
So you can find yourself a nice, cute little anime to fill that niche.
I could. I struggle watching shows. Reading, I don't struggle with that at all. But watching TV shows, I don't know why I struggle. It's
like a slice of life anime for me. It's nice for like right before bed. Just a nice little happy. Yeah, and it's not always happy, but it's usually simple but poignant or something. It just makes you feel good usually, and then I can go to bed. But I was thoroughly impressed. I give it I think you said you gave it a rating, but did you?
4 stars.
4 stars.
I said 4 stars. They're on a roll with 4 stars. I will say
they're
that.
A good film company.
I mean, one, it could also just be because I haven't watched these movies, and every single Studio Ghibli film I've ever seen, the first time I've watched it, I've been like, whoa! Yeah. And then the next couple of times I watch it, maybe it goes down a bit, but for a first viewing of these last 3, they've all been bangers, man.
Yeah. I mean, I want to watch this one again already because I just really liked it. It made me feel good. And I give it a 5.5. It's a good movie.
Even when it made you feel bad.
Even when it made you feel bad. That's right. Because the adult Taeko was always there to explain why she was thinking about it or why she brought it up. One thing I wanted to mention. She's still so happy. She is. It's great. One thing I want to mention about the animation that kind of touches on what you were saying is that every time it was in the past, it was vignetted in white. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
It was very nice. Yeah. It gave it a very nice, nostalgic looking back feel. It just worked right away for me. Anyway, I think that's the show.
And well, I also, before we wrap it up, I will say that with memory, as I mentioned, my memory of childhood is awful. But you can also watch this movie and see certain things as not being actual memories, but multiple snippets of time that are shoved into one moment.
Right.
It's like a lot of the things that happened could have happened over the dinner table, over the course of 5 or 6 days. But the way she's remembering it and telling it, if she's telling it to somebody, that is that, it all happened at once. So it's just I'm interested in watching this movie again from a pure, not really an unreliable narrator standpoint, but more of an unreliable, memory standpoint, and see if it works as being a multiple time span of events.
I want to rewatch it more from the perspective of young Taeko. What if she's looking forward? And that's why she's always so spacey.
That's the other movie that we watched.
Yeah, the horror movie.
What was that movie? Well, what was that movie that we watched that...
Mr. Nobody.
They took a different... Yeah, Mr. Nobody. That's right. Thank you. I was trying to think animation, but I was like, no, there's not a Studio Ghibli film.
It sounds like
Jared Leto.
It sure sounds
like
it was
Morbius.
It was Morbius. No. Okay, I think we did the show.
We did indeed. Thank you, everybody. Love you so much for listening. If you loved this, check out Green and Patron on the couch. Patreon.com/greenandfaceless. We got stuff there. Tiers, subscriptions. You know how it goes.
Episodes.
Thanks all. Episodes. Shit. Yeah. I love you. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon, the stretchiest experiment on Earth. Safe travels and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. Are you a fan of the show? Feel free to contact us at greenandfacelessfans@gmail.com or visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or rate us on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening.